In the heart of a dense, ancient forest, there stood a decrepit mansion, shrouded in mystery and fear. The villagers called it the Whispering Shadows, for it was said that at night, the very walls whispered secrets too terrible to bear. It all began one chilly autumn evening, when a young journalist named Emily decided to investigate the mansion's haunted reputation. Armed with only a flashlight and her unwavering determination, she ventured into the forest. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that seemed to reach out like ghostly fingers. As Emily approached the mansion, the air grew colder, and an unsettling silence enveloped her. The creaking gate welcomed her with a chilling screech, and she hesitated for a moment. Gathering her courage, she pushed forward, the crunch of leaves beneath her feet the only sound. Inside, the mansion was even more foreboding. The grand foyer, once opulent, was now a decaying relic of its past glory. A grand chandelier, covered in cobwebs, hung precariously from the ceiling. The air was thick with dust and the scent of damp wood.
Emily's heart raced as she explored the dimly lit hallways. Suddenly, a soft whisper echoed through the silence. "Leave, now." She spun around, but saw no one. Her breath quickened, and she clutched her flashlight tighter. Was it the wind, or something more sinister? She pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. Each room she entered seemed to hold its own secrets. The library, filled with ancient tomes, had a chilling aura. One book, in particular, caught her eye. Its leather cover was worn, and it seemed to radiate an eerie energy. She reached out and opened it, revealing pages filled with cryptic symbols and drawings of grotesque creatures. A sudden gust of wind blew through the room, extinguishing her flashlight. In the pitch-black darkness, she heard the whisper again. "You shouldn't have come." Panic set in as she fumbled to turn her flashlight back on. When the beam finally cut through the darkness, she saw a shadowy figure standing at the far end of the room. Emily's scream caught in her throat as the figure slowly moved toward her. She stumbled backward, tripping over a fallen chair. The figure vanished just as quickly as it had appeared, leaving only a chilling sense of dread in its wake.
She scrambled to her feet and rushed out of the library, her mind racing. What was that? Was she really alone in the mansion? The whisper seemed to follow her, growing louder and more insistent. "Leave, or suffer." Desperate to escape, Emily made her way to the staircase. As she ascended, the steps groaned under her weight, echoing through the empty halls. The whispers grew louder, now accompanied by a distant, ominous chanting. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if the mansion itself was trying to hold her back. Reaching the second floor, she found herself in a long corridor lined with portraits. The eyes of the painted figures seemed to follow her every move, their expressions twisted with malevolence. At the end of the corridor, a single door stood ajar, revealing a faint, flickering light. Drawn to it, Emily cautiously approached. The door creaked open to reveal a small, dimly lit room. In the center, a circle of candles surrounded a strange, ancient artifact, a stone tablet covered in the same cryptic symbols she had seen in the library. The whispers now formed coherent words, chanting, "Awaken the darkness, unleash the shadows."
Fear gripped her, but curiosity pushed her to step closer. She reached out to touch the tablet, and as her fingers brushed its cold surface, a violent gust of wind extinguished the candles. The room plunged into darkness, and she felt a cold hand grip her wrist. A voice, different from the whispers, hissed in her ear, "You cannot escape. You belong to us now." The grip tightened, and she was pulled toward the darkness. Struggling, she managed to break free, stumbling out of the room and slamming the door behind her. Her mind raced. She needed to get out, but the mansion seemed to twist and change around her. Every turn led to another corridor, another room filled with shadows and whispers. She could feel the malevolent presence growing stronger, feeding off her fear. Suddenly, she found herself back in the grand foyer. The front door, her only escape, was within sight. Summoning all her strength, she sprinted toward it. Just as she reached for the handle, the door slammed shut with a deafening bang. The whispers turned to mocking laughter, echoing around her.
"No," she screamed, pounding on the door. "Let me out." The laughter grew louder, more maniacal. She turned, pressing her back against the door, her flashlight flickering. The shadows in the room seemed to dance, growing taller and more menacing. Out of the darkness, the shadowy figure from before emerged, its form more defined. It was a tall, gaunt man with hollow eyes and a sinister grin. "You can't leave, Emily," he said, his voice a low, menacing growl. "You are part of the mansion now." She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I won't stay here," she cried. In a final act of defiance, she hurled her flashlight at the figure. The light shattered, plunging the room into complete darkness. The whispers and laughter ceased, replaced by an eerie silence. In the darkness, Emily felt a sense of calm wash over her. She closed her eyes, accepting her fate, but just as she did, a blinding light filled the room. She opened her eyes to see the mansion dissolving around her, the walls crumbling into dust. She found herself standing in the forest, the mansion gone. The sun was rising, casting a warm glow through the trees. She was free. As she stumbled back toward the village, she could still hear the faint whispers on the wind, a reminder of the horrors she had faced. Emily never spoke of what happened that night, but the villagers noticed the change in her. The once fearless journalist now carried a haunted look in her eyes, and though the mansion was gone, the legend of the whispering shadows lived on, a chilling tale that no one dared to investigate again.